evening, everyone. You are watching the evening show by The Explicit. 48 hours after the US forces coerced Nicolas Maduro and his wife to the US, the leader now faces trial in the New York court, pleading not guilty to any conspiracy charges brought by the US government. As the world stands against the unusual and inhumane seizure by the US of another world leader, the US have charged the leader with cocaine trafficking and partnering with the cartels designated as terrorist groups. The same US that funds Pakistan, a terrorist nation, and invites another terrorist, Azim Munir, to the White House, destabilized Afghanistan after its motive was complete, gave Bangladesh to a bunch of kleptocratic people, stands with Taiwan, but still has no problem with the One China policy. And the list goes on. In fact, the truth is, you bought a leader who had less power than America. Otherwise, you would have faced some consequences from China, which delivers the drug fentanyl to America. But never mind. We all know that the person who actually forces a minor and is resilient against stronger forces is called something. Internationally, though the US is not the part of ICC or specific tribunals, the head of state immunity prevents the domestic courts of one state from prosecuting the sitting heads of the state from other countries, a concept that even the US respects. Now I'm giving weight on this. Only if a foreign leader is no longer in office or loses immunity, the US might have grounds to prosecute him for crimes like terrorism and war crimes, which are specified in the US laws and not through a direct treaty. The Venezuelan leader was still the president of the state. Hence, his legal team has described this arrest as a military abduction, arguing that the late night operation violated the international law and due process protection. But in the end, what fascinates me here is that everything falls in the money bracket of America, whether the government or the capitalist. Coming to our second news, President Trump once again reiterated on capturing Greenland. On Sunday, the president said, "We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you." Greenland is a self governing Arctic island with the Kingdom of Denmark and has a strategic importance due to emerging Arctic shipping routes. Its strategic location in relation to the security and defense activities, and its vast mineral reserves. Quite skilamaling, I would say. If President Trump tries to even entertain the idea of doing so, NATO will be in serious trouble. The leaders of Denmark and Greenland have condemned these comments, while an analyst have said that Denmark is now in full crisis mode over the issue. Joining this battle of illegal seizures, the Colombian government has decided to work with the United States to fight drug trafficking using the Washington's intelligence and technology. I sometimes wonder if President Trump is a classic example of how braggarts behave when they are given power, a cycle that might help the psychological world a lot. Completing the American president segment, I'm going to finally give a response to what he said to Mr. Modi. Let me tell you his words first. PM Modi is a very good man. He is a good guy. He knew I was not happy. It was important to make me happy. They do trade and we can raise tariffs on them very quickly. President Trump is actually not taken much seriously because everyone is like, let us have no more of your gum. He's trying to impose more tariffs because he isn't able to convince Mr. Modi of anything. At one end, he wanted this trade deal to go right for the American companies. But when tariffs didn't do anything good, he finally tried to please Mr. Modi through his words. But again, this minute ego of his can just ruin everything. What needs to be done here is to first understand the power dynamics. When you were not in the power, Mr. Modi still held the PM seat. Actually, Mr. President might have forgotten his age, where this leap can actually make him fall. Then, of course, there is this prediction of the year saying that Mr. Trump can be seriously ill till the end of 2026. But I don't believe in these predictions personally. Okay, after all this intense news, Let's move on to the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who is visiting India for the first time. The visit marks the progress made by the India Germany strategic partnership, which completed 25 years last year. The discussion will focus on further increasing the cooperation in trade, investment, technology, education, and several domains of defense and security. PM Modi will be part of this meet from January 12 to 13, happening in the Bangalore and, of course, Ahmedabad. Speaking of the good news, India has become the world's largest rice producer, reaching 150.18 million tons compared to China's 145.28 million tons. Quite a good accomplishment in terms of the food security and of self-sufficient economy. India has achieved this great success due to development of high-yielding seeds, Mr. Modi's policies, and his continuous efforts in the farming. Finally, I'll end my part with two more news items of the day. The first one is that Elon Musk faces a probe in Malaysia, India, and Europe for Grok generated explicit pictures of women and children. Lastly, Bangladesh is showing increasing crimes against the Hindu minorities, making the attack numbers reach 11 in mere 35 days. Among these 11 victims, a 1971 Liberation War freedom fighter, Mukti Jodha, and his wife were found dead at their home in the Bangladesh Rangpur district, both with their throats slit. The increasing atrocities of minorities have been discussed in the UN last month, and the Russian embassy, US, and Canadian lawmakers have condemned these atrocities. The Yunus government who was once a prisoner, have just given all the rights to the Islamic extremists to perform such atrocities. Maybe RSS is needed there.
Farmers in France have been protesting against the EU-Mercosur bill for several days now. The reason being the unfairness in the agricultural market. In the French way, nous ne voulons pas de concurrence inutile. I'm like Joey with Google acting as a Phoebe. So if you didn't understand, it's we do not want unnecessary competition. And I'd be understating by saying unnecessary. It is actually against the EU's own policies as well. You see, this nicely put bill has a lot of things, such as cutting down on antimicrobials, protecting the GI tags. I do not know how they'll do that when the importers enter to spoil this, but yeah. Other than this, they have considered the consumer's benefit, in a way I'd say, by making these essentials cheaper. And the fancy term here is to reduce tariffs with the Mercosur nations, especially when EU is ahead of USA and just besides China in trades with these nations. The question, however, is how they'll successfully make growing conditions as per the standards and how the French farmers stand against the GMO crops. Everything is easy, right? The farmers have the right concerns, especially when they have been fighting since 2024 against lower income, more documentation, and other issues. They even have a new problem on the plate to cull cows that are infected with lumpy skin disease, a disease that doesn't spread in humans. The culling orders are passed by the authorities, and the farmers obviously oppose it. One of the smart brains in Europe has done the contrary of France, though. Prime Minister Meloni pressed Lula to delay the signing of this agreement. Still, a lot needs to be done. The delay cannot just automatically reverse the issues. A big change in this, however, is that French authorities have confirmed that there will be stricter laws for food imports, avoiding any substances that are banned in crops in the country. This is going to be a first of its kind agreement in all of Europe, but the government still remains inconclusive on how to accept beef imports while respecting the EU's environment and food safety standards. It looks like Macron is having a tough year, with farmers' protest on his plate, NATO almost looking rickety after the Venezuelan attack and Trump's Greenland claim, and the coalition of the willing nations almost looking like a failure already. This Frenchman needs a cordon bleu with Chardonnay and a break for international affairs. Maybe the first one for now, since he literally termed the allies of Ukraine, quote, coalition of the willing, unquote. This group was supposed to bring peace in Ukraine, for which Macron was too aplomb, even addressing that the allies will make concrete commitments at today's summit to protect Ukraine and ensuring a just and lasting peace. But after the Venezuela affair, the US Marco Rubio is no longer attending the summit. In fact, Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner will replace him. And on top of everything, the allies have their own issues as well: Greenland and international violations by the USA. Since all these factors intersect in the decision making, it is almost as if the allies were protecting someone else in war, and now they may end up in something similar if Trump follows up on Greenland's claim. Let's follow up on this tomorrow after the summit concludes. Coming to the national affairs, the story of Russia, Ukraine, and the USA is now pinching Reliance. Forget just the West. Bloomberg reported that at least 3 tankers laden with nearly 2.2 million barrels of Urals might be reaching the company's Jamnagar facility. Though Reliance has denied any such claims, saying that they are not committed to any such purchase, Bloomberg presses its data analytics firm's Kepler angle here. This is obvious since the USA wants to be a heavenly nation, seizing the export of Russian oil and introducing a new product, an oil bought through an attack on Venezuela and the captivity of a president. Reliance wants to migrate these sanctions since it has presence in the foreign markets. I think it is time that Trump, Zelensky, and Putin visit Vantara, give themselves a break, and think the shit out of their brains. Except Trump, I don't want to press him. He already has a vagina on his neck. God knows what he'll do under such pressure. But yes, it is time to stop this nonsense. Why does Ukraine even want to be in NATO now? Doesn't he see how it's falling apart through one broken country? That's not the only broken place, by the way. Seems we have crooked parliaments where we have speakers and MLAs who are truly an abomination, calling rapes inevitable and the victim to enjoy while it happens. Here's a question for this psychopath. Don't you struggle with premature ejaculation to give someone a pleasure like that? I would have advised him against the nature of his, but since it doesn't work like that way, let's wipe him out in the next elections, just like we do with a blackhead. Be sharp. Doesn't end here. The heights of politics have increased to an extent where the ministers have implemented the British formula: divide and rule. Stalin comes under the lens for yet another of his mischievous comments. As per him, the ruling party, the NDA, opposes the Tamil language even after landmark decisions by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister has literally added announcements in the Tamil language at the state's railway stations. The IAS and IPS started giving exams in the Tamil language under his rule, and the sacred symbol now stands tall in the parliament. What argument does he have to say that the NDA is against Tamil Nadu? I know you may have developed a thinking that you are the Tamil Nadu after all this family reign, but that's not how it works. Put some knowledge into your brain as well. Quite amusing how the citizens of Tamil Nadu are becoming literate as you fall in your intellect. Speaking of intellect, we have a parrot preaching what the Samajwadi party teaches him. As per Shivraj Singh Yadav, a leader of the opposition in UP, the Yadavs are not Hindus. Do we even have to have a discussion here? Let him exist in his own confusion theory. Ending on the favorite Pakistan, a calm that is so unambitious that to bring its neighbor to such a level, they have yet again sent not 10 or 20 or 100, but 300 jihadists in JNK. We know why. Asim, I know your population is booming, but why not make use of it instead of getting them thrashed by the Indian army? That's it for today, guys. We'll see you tomorrow with more coverage from across the globe. Good night.